Hey guys, who here loves Harry Potter? Okay, that's probably a stupid question. I mean, who doesn't love Harry Potter? Most people probably love Harry Potter, although I am sure there are people that don't love Harry Potter or have not even read the books. So, I asked this question because I thought I would do the Harry Potter book tag. So, here are the questions. Okay, question number 1. Favorite book? And that is... Oh, I have to fix that. Sorry, I just filmed another tag. I filmed the Under the Tree tag, and I had to take a few books on my shelf for the alternating red and green spines. So my books, as soon as I removed this book, unfortunately it toppled. So my favorite book in the Harry Potter series would probably have to be Goblet of Fire. I love the competition element of the Triwizard Tournament. I think that's really cool. It's the book that I feel like it's the book that's like in between childhood and adulthood for these characters, for the kid characters anyway. And it introduced a lot of new characters. And it introduced the idea of relationships. And I love the whole Yule Ball stuff. That was fun. Especially, the whole Hermione and Ron drama. I think that was very entertaining. And you finally get an actual, Voldemort of the present actually shows up in this book towards the climax of the book. And I remember this was the book that I got on one of the midnight openings, at one of the midnight releases of the book, and this was back in the 90s, so this was before, or early 2000s or 90s, so before Borders bookstore closed. If you grew up in the 90s, I'm sure you're familiar with Borders bookstore. So it was still around when I got this book, and I went to the midnight release of it. I was very excited. My dad took me. And I remember as soon as we left, I got in, and even though it was dark, I was in my dad's truck. I opened the book and I started reading right away. Like I said, it was dark at the time. Okay, so favorite movie. Favorite movie is... Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. I think this is this was a great opening first movie. It finally gave readers an actual image of what the characters look like, and now a lot of people, when they read the book, I'm sure these are the people they see. They see Daniel Radcliffe, Rupert Grint, Emma Watson as the character, as the 3 main characters, and there was something so magical and beautiful, and you just got so excited when you first heard the music, the opening theme music, and I always remember that every time I watched it, there was always an echo. For some reason, I remember the opening scene when Dumbledore is dropping Harry off at the Dursleys' house. I remember there was always some kind of echo effect, and that was probably because there was surround sound every time I watched it. So I should watch it again and see if I get that same effect in my room. Although I can't, because I thought my Blu-ray player was fine, because I was able to watch a movie on there again, but then it died on me again. It got stuck on one part. So I'm hoping that if my dad goes golfing this afternoon, after I get back from we're watching our neighbor's little puppy, because he's still a puppy, so he needs to eat 3 times a day. And he needs to be taken out he needs to be taken out at least once in the morning, once in the afternoon. He's just a little puppy. So I'm watching, so when I get back from watching, if my dad is gone, then I think I might finish watching the rest of my movie. which, by the way, is Sound of Music. If you saw my Sound of Music Gush movie, I admit that I'm obsessed with that movie, and I will watch it repeatedly over and over again for a period of time. And I'm still kind of going through that phase at the moment, so I'm hoping, I started watching it last night, and then my Blu-ray player shot and got messed up again, so I'm hoping that my dad goes golfing, I'll be able to watch it downstairs while he's gone, and just finish it up. So anyway, back to Harry Potter. So there's something magical about the first movie. It's very special to me, and it's the first movie. It was the first one that brought the story to life on screen. Okay, so next question, least favorite book. I don't know what. I should have already brought these down to you guys. Okay, I'm not gonna even bother because it's like behind I have to get behind this chair that I'm sitting in to get it. And that is the Chamber of Secrets. I mean, I don't hate the Chamber of Secrets as much as a lot of people do, although I don't necessarily think they hate it, they just don't like it as much. In that, I thought it was a good book, and it was entertaining, and it was enjoyable, but it was my least favorite of the book series. Okay, so... Okay, question number 4. Parts of the book/movies that made you cry. Okay, so the only one I could come up with, sadly, I'm sorry, but I did not cry during Dobby's death. I mean, that was heartbreaking. I'm not saying it wasn't. It's just, I didn't feel like crying. It didn't affect me in that way. I mean, it was still sad, and maybe I did get teary-eyed, but don't hate me for not crying, because I still think it was sad. I'm not saying it wasn't sad. I just didn't have the physical tears. But I did cry during Sirius's death. Because Sirius was probably the closest to an actual biological father figure. You know, I mean, the good news is that Harry had Ron's dad, Arthur Weasley, as a father figure. He had Hagrid and Dumbledore, although that was sad too. And I think I got teary-eyed with that death too, where Dumbledore died. Harry does not have a lot of luck with father figures, is all I gotta say. They all tend to die on him, which is so sad. I cried then. I'm sure I cried during the last book too, at some parts. Like I said, please don't hate on me, okay? I don't cry in books. I'm more prone to cry in a movie than a book, honestly. But there's even a movie, sometimes I can't cry. I can't get myself to cry, and I feel horrible for not crying. I feel bad, I feel like I have to cry. I feel like something's wrong with me that I don't cry. Okay, so favorite character. Okay, so now these are just the kid characters, because I do have some favorite characters out of the adult character as well. I'll just say all the characters that I consider favorites. Okay, so what I actually wrote down here was, it's a tie between Hermione and Luna Hermione Granger and Luna Lovegood. I can relate to both of them, although I'm not as kooky I'm not as eccentric as Luna, but I love Luna. She's awesome. I love how optimistic she is, and how supportive she is, and how she doesn't judge anybody. And I like her, and of course Hermione, she's the bookworm of the group. She's smart, she's brave, she's a loyal friend, she's a good person. I mean, what girl who reads the books does not love Hermione? I mean, and that's just the kid characters. I also love, like I said, I'm a fan of Sirius, and I love, Sirius and Lupin are awesome characters. Snape is kind of on there, but I have mixed feelings about Snape. Sometimes I get pissed off at him, and yes, oh my god, I get pissed I get pissed off at Snape. Yes, shocking. I know, how dare I get mad about Snape. And I don't hate the character, okay? I like the character. It's just sometimes I don't like how he treats Harry. Because yes, Harry is not the perfect student, and he does get into bad situations, but no, it does not justify the way Snape treats Harry. yes, he's James's son, but he's also Lily's son. I mean, I'm afraid that if I talk to my friend Kathy, my friend Kathy, who's a huge Snape fan, I would be worried that she would say, "Oh, Harry's a bad kid. He's horrible. He should be more respectful." He is. I mean, come on. From ever since Harry got there, Snape was constantly intimidating and bullying the kid. Don't tell me otherwise, okay? He was, alright? When Harry first got there, Harry was trying to take notes. He was taking notes, for crying out loud. He was writing down. He was actually taking notes while Snape was lecturing about the lecture. He was writing things down because he's new to this world, so he was really eager to impress and stuff. And then Snape just basically was, called him out on it, and like, this is not a college level. He's an 11-year-old boy. And I feel like Snape is constantly bullying Harry. And yes, he is. Okay, don't tell me otherwise. He is. But I don't hate the character. I like the character. He's definitely on the list of favorite characters. He's definitely an interesting character because characters that aren't complicated are boring. Characters that are very complicated and give you the reason to not always like them are good characters. I also like, I like Professor McGonagall. She's awesome. She's also badass and stuff, and just, I think I like her even better in the movie because it just, the way Maggie Smith plays her, she's so awesome, and especially in the last one when there's an attack at the attack of Hogwarts, the Battle of Hogwarts, and she was like, she actually encourages Seamus, who is constantly blowing things up, to go blow things up, and she's like bringing the gargoyles to life and everything. She's so awesome. I like Miss Weasley. Who doesn't love Miss Weasley? I especially love, again, a moment in the last book when Ginny and Bellatrix Lestrange are about to fight it out with, a wand battle, a wand duel, and then just as she's about to, just as Bellatrix is about to kill Ginny or go after Ginny, Miss Weasley is like, "Not my daughter, bitch." That's just awesome. There are so many characters in that book series. They're just the book/movies. They're so awesome and so incredible and so complex and interesting. Especially for a book that started out as a kid's book. I mean, not that characters in kids' books aren't normally interesting. It's just they're not that complex all the time. Although I think there have been a lot of series that like The School for Good and Evil the characters are really complex in there too, I feel like, and that's a middle grade book. And I'm sure the Percy Jackson, Rick Riordan's books, the same thing. I haven't read those because I just have no interest. Yes, I have no interest. I'm sorry. But I'm sure those characters are also very complex and interesting to read about. Okay, so let me get back to the questions. So those are all my favorite characters. Okay, what Patronus would you be? I did take the Harry Potter, the quiz. I took the wand test and the sorting hat quiz. So, and I believe that's another question on here, what your Hogwarts house is. But the Patronus I got was a salmon. I thought that was really weird and random. I was like, what? Like, really? A fish? I'm a fish? I was kind of hoping for something cool, like a horse or a wolf or something, but I got a salmon, a fish. It works. Okay, so, question number 7. If you could have the Resurrection Stone, Elder Wand, or Cloak, the Invisibility Cloak, which would you choose? I said the Invisibility Cloak. Elder Wand is way too much power. The Resurrection Stone, that's kind of depressing because, yeah, you bring back your loved ones from the dead, and there are family members of mine that have passed away that I would love to see again. But then that's all you're doing. You're seeing them again and there's like a thin veil between you and that person. So it's like you can't touch them, you can't hug them, you can talk to them, but it's very, you might not even be able to really talk to them. So to me, that's just depressing. And who would want that? Who would want to just have your loved ones be so close but so far? That would just be depressing. So I don't think anyone, I don't know how anyone could choose the resurrection stone. But I said the invisibility cloak because I could, sneak into bookstores. I could sneak around anywhere. I could, scare people, but, freak people out. It would be so much fun to use the invisibility cloak, and who knows, you could commit thievery. Not that committing thievery is right, but still, I mean, you could get away with that. You can get away with, of course then the alarm would go off. But I guess you could probably run away before, and no one will be able to catch you. Although I would feel horribly guilty about it afterwards, and I would be so terrified I would get caught. But there are a lot of things that you could do in the invisibility cloak. You could scare people that you don't like, and it would be so much, it would be fun. Invisibility cloak would be fun. Okay, so here's, like I said, there's a question about which Hogwarts house. So I took the quiz on the site, and I got Ravenclaw as my house. So, hashtag Ravenclaws. Ravenclaws are awesome. Although, like everybody else, when I first read the series, I was like, Gryffindor's rule, and then I started to change my mind and be like, oh, I should give Slytherins the benefit of the doubt. I could be a Slytherin too, because Slytherins deserve more credit than they get. They're not just all bad guys. But I got Ravenclaw, and Ravenclaws are awesome. I mean, we're the smart ones. Okay, so question number 9. If you could meet a cast member, who would it be? Okay, so I could not decide. This was hard, so I didn't pick one. I picked 3 cast members, although I would love to meet the whole cast, and, there are a lot of cast members that I would just be dying to meet. But the ones I ended up choosing for the sake of this are, I chose 3, by the way. I could not pick one. And that is Maggie Smith. I think she's awesome. Emma Watson, awesome, and she played Belle. So, if you play both Hermione and Belle, then, and she loves to read, too. She's a reader, and she does that thing where she will leave books on train, wherever she goes, for people to check out and read, for someone to find. And then I said Emma Thompson, who also did Beauty and the Beast, the most recent rendition of it that just came out. So those are the ones I would love to meet. At least from Harry Potter, anyway. Although, like I said, there are more members of the cast I would love to meet. Like Gary Oldman, for instance. Okay, so question number 10. Have you played any of the video games? Well, back when the first movie came out, there was this one game. It was an actual video game. It was a video game, but it's an older one, because this was back at the end of the 90s into the 2000s. And it was like a Quidditch related game. You could see you could play all the different positions. It's just like there was one game where you chased the golden snitch around. You were you were just riding straight on your broom, and you have to grab the snitch and grab a bunch of other things that were the same size as the snitch. There was one where you had to break the goalpost, like the keeper. I'm sure there were other ones. It was really fun. I would spend hours playing that game. It was actually, my mom's cousin and his wife were staying with my Lola at the time, so my Lola she's a 1-level house, but she does have an upstairs, kind of like we have in this house where I live, the room I live in, and where they have the one single, they don't actually have an upstairs, but they have a single upstairs room, so it's kind of a house that does have an upstairs, but it's not like a whole floor, it's just a room, like a bonus room. And my Lola had that in her house. She still has it. And they lived up there. So I would always, and they had a computer and stuff, so I would go up there early in the morning, and as long as they were up, and I would basically spend hours playing that game. And I remember my mom would give me such a hard time about that. She was like, "Okay, don't bother them. You need to come downstairs." Because the game was a bit addictive, and it was their computer, so my mom was, worried that I was bothering them, and I was taking up time on their computer, and I needed to. I mean, if they had told me that they didn't, they had to do some stuff on there, then I would gladly leave, because I wasn't going to be rude and complain about it and be like, no, but let me finish the game, I would leave if they asked. But my mom felt like she had to kind of, remind me. Okay. Question number 11. If you were on the Quidditch team, which position would you play? I would not be on the Quidditch team. I am terribly uncoordinated. My fine gross motor skills are horrible. It's part of my disabilities, actually. So I cannot play on Quidditch. I would suck at that. I mean, I wish I could play, but I can't. I could never actually play. And not, it's just, I wouldn't be very good at it. I would be horrible. We would lose if I was on their team. Okay, question number 12. Were you happy with the ending? Yes, I was. I was quite content with the ending. Sometimes I like when things are wrapped up nicely with a little tight bow. Other times I'm okay with I like messy endings too. After a while though, I do get kind of annoyed when the endings aren't messy and everything's all tied up nice and neatly. Like I agree with everybody about the ending for Akawar. I did not like that Akawar ending. I feel no one died. At least with Harry Potter, people died. A lot of the adult characters died in Harry Potter, so I was happy about it. Even though the ending was kind of wrapped up neatly, people still died in the climax of the 7th book. So I was happy. It broke my heart since some of my favorite characters had died, but it was still good because people in war, people don't survive. People will die in war. And I think that's the mistake a lot of YA and new adult authors write. They're like, oh, well, of course they're going to want all their characters to live because it's for teenagers. They want all their favorite characters to live. And maybe part of us does, but realistically speaking, we know that people die. We know that characters die, so don't be afraid to kill your characters. Which, I have to keep that in mind. Because if I ever publish a book and publish a series, I'm going to have to remember that I shouldn't be afraid to kill my characters. Because that's realistic. Characters don't survive. As much as you love the characters, your love is not going to magically make them come back from the dead. I mean, I know that Lily's love for Harry, her sacrifice, but that's different. That's sacrifice. Characters sacrifice themselves. So sometimes it's okay for a character but Lily actually dies. Harry, the one she sacrificed herself for, didn't die. I mean, that was the problem with Akawar, is that, what's her name, Amaran? She sacrificed herself. But she didn't die. She came back and became Fae, and it's like, really? Really? Are you that afraid to kill your characters? It's like, come on. If a character died, I don't want Rhysand to die, but if you're gonna kill off a character, at least keep Amaran dead. Kill her off. I love the character, but come on. Don't, make it a happy and perfect ending. It's boring. And it's not realistic. I know it's a fantasy, but come on. Even in fantasy, there's a level of realism. Or there should be. So I guess, is Sarah J. Maas, although I'm told in Empire of Storms that it proves that she's not afraid to kill characters. She just assumed that, we have to have a happy ending where all the characters live. It's like, no. You should have killed Amaran. Because that's fine. It's awesome if you want it. I was relieved. I was happy that Rhysand survived. If they were able to bring him back. But she still needs to kill at least one character in her books. And no, their dad does not count. Okay? Because he was not in the series. He was barely in the series. He was in the first book. And then that's it. He was in the first book. And his character was not a prominent character. And there was no... at first I thought, well, they killed off the dad, so that's heartbreaking and everything. But then thinking about it, it's the guy was only in the first book. He didn't have much of a part. The daughters spent most of their time being pissed off at him. Okay, so, but anyway, but yeah, I was happy with the Harry Potter ending, the ending of the 7th book. Okay, so last question, question number 13. How much does Harry Potter mean to you? It means a lot to me, but everybody says that. But anyway, Harry Potter was the first fantasy series that I really got into. I mean, I was a reader before Harry Potter, but still, I mean, like, this was the first time I ever got passionate about a series, about a fantasy series. I actually remember the story. We were at Borders bookstore, and it was me and my mom. We were spending time with, the mom and younger sister of one of my sister's friends, who eventually became her boyfriend. I was in middle school at the time. I think I just started middle school. It was like 6th grade. And I remember the daughter, who is like a year younger than me, but we're the same grade, because I repeated 1st grade. She had already read the Harry Potter, the first 3 books, and she was getting one of those boxes for her books. And my mom asked me if I was walking around and everything, checking out the books. And then my mom found me and was like, would you be, I think what happened is I came back to the table where they were drinking coffee, into the cafe area. And my mom asked me, would I be interested in reading Harry Potter? She showed me the first book. I read the summary, the inside flap of the first book. And the rest is basically history. I was hooked after that. And I love the series. Has meant so much to me. Like a lot of people, I grew up with the series, and it's the first fantasy series that ever meant something to me. And it will always be my favorite. I mean, I have moved on from books like Twilight, even Cassie Clare's books, although I will continue reading her books. Like, I asked for, Tales from the Shadowhunter Academy for Christmas because I'm really behind in her books. But I did give her books I donated my copies of her books to the used bookstore. At least the first 2 series, the Infernal Devices and Mortal Instruments. Because I didn't know if I would ever get around to rereading them. So I did donate them to the used bookstore because I feel like they need to have more variety in their books. And books that are read for younger readers, because there are younger people that live in this town. There's an elementary school and a high school. So I'm expanding their horizons. And so I did donate them, but I am going to continue reading her books. But I refuse to give away my Harry Potter books. I have the first American edition, not the first ones, the very first ones that came out, but the first, the first American editions that were made, because since then they have made new editions and stuff. And although my third book, Prisoner of Azkaban, I have reread it, opened to certain chapters so many times in that book that basically the book is coming out of the binding. So I'm tempted to buy a copy of the 3rd book in paperback. But it's, it's like, but then there are so many other new books that are coming out and new series that I've gotten into that I gotta buy those as well. I want to buy those as well, so I just gotta be really careful, but I will never get rid of those. So that was my Harry Potter book tag. If you have read the Harry Potter series, that I recommend, if you haven't done it already, I recommend doing this tag. It is another fun tag. And if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you're just passing through and you like the video, then please subscribe to me if you haven't already. Alright, bye!